Ethan Klein has officially made his response. His full and very detailed response that lasted about 5 hours, which is probably the biggest response I've ever seen when it comes to YouTube drama. And I'm gonna be honest, very well detailed and done. There are a few aspects that I will criticize, and I will get to it right in just a second. So, iDubbbz' Content Cop. I had to rewatch it in order to re-record this, just like I could remember everything. And after rewatching, just like what he did at the end of the video, I'm a change my rating from the last video. Instead of giving it a 6.5, I officially now give it a 5. Because after rewatching it, there's a lot of things that I realize that are quite dumb. Like for example, when he involves psychology in Seattle, should never have been done. He should have never involved this person that has nothing to do with the beef in any sort of way. Turns out he was blindsided in a way, which is kind of fucked. Like you're involving an innocent bystander at this point just for a shit moment that made no sense at all. Just for a shit moment at the end of your content cop that didn't really amount to anything. Instead, you look frustrated when he didn't change his rating. I just feel bad for him because after his involvement, after the content cop, basically saying I had nothing to do with the video, and then after he uploaded another video where he reacts to the content cop, and let's just say a lot of people started harassing him after that to the point where he deactivated his Instagram. So I just feel bad for him. And since Ethan Klein's response was 5 hours long, and he has another H3 video that he uploaded literally Sunday, um, I'm it's gonna be very hard to sum up 5 hours of response. So I'm gonna try my best to sum up the key points or the biggest points of those responses he made during the whole video. Oh, a criticism that H3H3 brought up was it's weird how he brought back Content Cop, even though he said this in the past.
I'm sorry to everyone that I made content cop videos on. I still don't like the majority of you, and that's fine, but I can recognize that you did not deserve the hate and harassment that I sent your way.
Yeah, he apparently gained empathy, but yet did not disclose at all during the whole Content Cop the CPS calls. And we know this video was made after the CPS calls. We know that for a fact because he used clips from that episode when he criticizes these creators for the CPS calls.
There was not even one mention of CPS in the whole video.
He didn't find that to be relevant. He skirted next to it. He kind of like skirted past it, but he never bothered to explain. And a lot of the clips he uses is us fired up from the day that CPS came to us.
So like
without even explaining that at least that's the context. It's pretty cowardly.
Which is one of the big things that got a lot of people on Ethan Klein's side. Because why are you calling CPS on someone that isn't actually doing anything worthy of CPS calls? As much as you may hate him, as much as you may dislike H3H3, you can't call CPS on anyone just because you don't like him. We know he takes care of his kids, and then when he's not taking care of his kids, it's either his parents or his nanny that he has. He has a nanny, and if he has shit all over his house, the nanny's at fault. I'm being honest. Be honest. If there's shit all over the house, it's the nanny's fault. And I'm sorry to tell you this, but there isn't shit all over the house. You could contract giardia by the dog grazing a surface with its ass. That's how it works. Not what Bad Empanada says, where there's shit everywhere and the babies are constantly eating dookie off the ground. That's not at all what's happening. iDubbbz chose to just ignore that fact and not even bring it up once. Another criticism that H3 made was that it's weird how he chose to align himself with the people that are straight up harassing him online. Look, please, if you are a fan of Hassan, Denims, or Frogan, listen, okay, look. I know you guys dislike H3H3. So I know some of you hate H3H3, but it gets to a point where you have to admit that H3 kind of has a point with some of these points that he's been making. H3H3 with Hassan, H3H3 has constantly told him to watch the content nuke and they'll discuss the content nuke together. Or Denims, who days before the CPS calls, watched Bad Empanada and immediately took what Bad Empanada said at face value and spread it around like wildfire to the point where everyone on the internet believed that there's shit all over the house. Another reason why H3H3 was so upset that you chose to say nothing is because you and your wife chose to do nothing the whole time when people the people that you're friends with are harassing him. The reason why H3H3 is criticizing you, Ian, is because you and Anissa are actively interacting with the people that are straight up harassing H3H3. Like, these were all people you should have actually said something about, because what they're doing is not okay, but for some reason you're choosing to justify everything they're doing by including them in this video. H3, I will criticize H3 on this thing, that he did kind of ignore the whole goblin mode part. He did kind of ignore it and brush past it. In my opinion, he should have apologized for that part, because he probably forgot. In my opinion, you shouldn't have brushed past it and actually acknowledged it and said, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I've said the phrase goblin mode before in the past. Even Dan, in that same clip, was like, you've said it a few times. One of the most damning pieces of evidence that Ethan brought to the table during the whole content cop reaction was that Ian is holding a sword that looks like a sword. And look, I've never watched Bleach, but the moment I laid my eyes on that katana, I'm like, that does kind of look like a sword. And I know it's from the main character Ichigo from Bleach. I understand that completely. I know that for a fact. But I love how Ethan was like, whose sword is that? Is that Hassan's? I bet you Hassan's never watched Bleach. He's never watched Bleach. And I thought it was just, I just thought it was H3H3 being annoying. You know, that's what I thought. He's just being annoying, trying to compare this to this, you know, and I don't know how. I don't know how, but he called it. Hassan's never watched Bleach. He showed these 2 clips.
Wait, I don't even know who that guy is.
That's Isaac, Bleach.
Oh, I don't watch Bleach.
It's from 4 months ago. No, what does he say?
Do you watch Bleach? I do not.
Sicker. Wait, that's a little sus.
Immediately goes for the one. Got it.
I like this already much better. You're the one who owns this.
I just found it hilarious. I don't know. It has nothing to do at all with the video. I honestly doubt Hassan keeps the sword because it looks like a sword. I highly doubt that. I don't actually think that. But it's just funny how H3 just... it's surprising how you called it out of nowhere. It's just funny to me. But Hassan, for real, why the fuck do you keep around a katana from an anime you do not watch? Like, that's so weird. You look like a fucking bandwagon a little bit. Usually people, whenever they enjoy something, everything around their room is stuff they enjoy as well. So I don't understand, Hassan, why you have a Bleach katana. That's so strange. Like, why? If you don't watch the anime, why do you have it? Sure, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt that it's been 4 months. You probably watched it, binge watched the entire show, and became a huge fan of it. I could see that happening. I could very much see that happening. But if you didn't, that's so weird. That's kind of weird, dude. You're just like a bandwagon a little bit. Part of the content cop that Ethan chose to glance over was the part where iDubbbz talked about his friends and his employees that work for him. Ethan chose to skip over that, and I'll be honest, it looks cowardly to the people that don't like H3H3. It looks very cowardly. He doesn't want to face criticism. And it was the only criticism that iDubbbz made that I agreed with, but Ethan kind of glancing over it made him look somehow responsible. I don't know how. The reason why H3H3 glanced over it was because this beef doesn't involve his employees or his friends. It doesn't involve his employees. It shouldn't involve his employees because they just work for him. That's, I believe, why he chose to glance over that. Sure, there was some valid criticism in there, but I can't really comment if he never made a comment. It was a little responsible of him, but at the same time, it feels weird because it was one of the valid points that iDubbbz did make in that video. A point that H3 made was that Ian is anti-Semitic. I don't agree with that personally, but but what Ethan brought up to the table was very damning.
Well, anyway, as we wait, here's Anissa justifying Nazi atrocities. Just for no reason.
Is experimenting on 10 children to obtain a cure for thousands of kids' lives justified? That's a really hard question, and I think if people are being 100% honest, they give you a different answer than what you're expecting. It's terrible.
Are you? Everybody's walking around. Everybody knows. What are you doing? Oh
Was obviously it was horrendous, and how disgusting the doctor was that did the experiments on people, gay people, handicaps, twins.
Who else? Who else? Who else, Anissa? Who else did they do experiments on?
And obviously, they're obviously Jewish, or they did it on Jewish people. They found a couple of really groundbreaking discoveries through that experimentation.
I think that's a complete lie. Nothing useful came from that.
Nothing useful.
It was just pure.
The Shoah Holocaust was the greatest science experiment ever.
Just found that clip also funny. I found it funny. Lastly, I had this criticism already, but I just wanted to see Ethan's response on this criticism. I just didn't say it because it was very fucking weird that Idos even said this. So, this professional psychologist said, I just think Ethan needs a hug. That's all I think he needs is a hug. And which is, in my opinion, is true. Maybe he does need the warm embrace of a friend to let him know it's okay. I'm sorry that this is happening to you. I'm sorry. It's okay. But instead, Ian, for some reason, chooses to say this.
When Psychology in Seattle was watching these video clips of Ethan, he said that it looks like Ethan could just use a hug. Now, of course, it kind of pisses me off to hear that shit, because I'm like, what are we doing? What are we saying? He needs a hug? No, he doesn't need a hug. He needs a good fucking ass whooping is what he needs.
Why? Why would you say such a thing? Like, why would you say that, dude? So you're telling me, you're telling me H3H3 is getting harassed, getting threats, literal human skulls being sent to him, all kinds of horrendous shit. And you choose to say he doesn't need a hug, he needs a fucking ass whooping. As if a punch to the fucking face will make him change his opinion on anything he's saying. If anything, you punching him in the face will make him feel more justified for all his actions that he's been doing. When you have people like Bad and Panada straight up playing a game where he's killing people that look like Ethan and Ela, that's not okay. When you have people all over Twitter saying they would slam their kids against the wall. When you have people that are straight up justifying calling CPS on him, you feel that it's what he needs. An ass whooping. That's what Ethan needs. And the ending of your content cop was very fucking weird. Where you have his greatest enemies complimenting Ethan. It feels as a backhanded compliment the whole time you watch that ending, because for a fact some of these people just don't give a fuck and they're just doing this because you asked them to. They would never say anything good about Ethan. They would never. And you could tell a lot of them are, and you could tell some of them are, kind of, let's just say, not sincere in the slightest.
Ethan, I think it's respectable that you even began this journey to leave behind the anti-SJW crowd and step into a more empathetic worldview. I know it's not easy.
Now that you've watched this, now look at this.
We're watching Hassan watch it, and I watched Hassan watch it, and Hassan doesn't have a nice thing about Ethan. And the chat asked what I'm thinking. I'm like, wait, you didn't do a nice thing about Ethan? And he was like, no. And I'm like, wait. That was an option? I could have just said no. Mr. Charitability over here. Mr. Charitability over here said no to saying a nice thing about Ethan, but I did. All right. All right, dude. All right, dude.
If you were genuinely trying to do something good, Ian, if you were genuinely trying to do some good and have that little ending, maybe they should actually mean it. Maybe these people should actually mean it and instead try to retract their good things that they said towards Ethan. But it's crazy how the moment he said he needs to get an ass whooping, for some reason he immediately chooses for people to say good things to him. I don't want good things to be told to me. I don't want people to say good things to me after they threatened to beat my ass. After they said they would beat my ass. I do not want anyone to fucking treat me well. I want you guys to get away from me. I don't want to be near you. He responded quickly, which is way more than what Hassan's ever done. Way more than Hassan's ever done with the context puke. The context puke. Instead of, not watching it, watch it and bring up the actual context. If you truly want people to believe you, if you want to turn Ethan's fucking fan base against him, watch the context, puke, and disprove everything he's saying. But for some reason you're refusing to, which is kind of weird. Like, dude, just fucking watch it. Just fucking watch it. Watch like 10 minutes every night or something. Watch like a few minutes every night, dude. Just fucking do it. Write down notes as you do it, and then on stream, discuss it. But no, you're refusing to. Alright, anyways. That's about it. See you guys next time. Bye, peace, and love.
2 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe. And I get more ass than a toilet seat. 3 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. I met a bad bitch last night in the D. Let me tell you how I made her leave.
No, he doesn't need a hug. He needs a good fucking ass whooping is what he needs.